The private jet shimmered beneath the bright afternoon sun as dozens of executives, engineers, and airport officials stood anxiously on the tarmac. Millions of dollars depended on the aircraft taking off before sunset. Investors were waiting overseas. Contracts worth hundreds of millions hung in the balance. Yet the jet remained grounded, and every expert called to inspect it had failed to solve the mysterious problem. Standing near the aircraft was one of the richest women in the country, her face filled with frustration and desperation. Then her eyes landed on a quiet single father wearing a faded maintenance uniform. Desperate for a solution, she made an unbelievable promise. If the jet took off that night, she would make him rich. The crowd laughed. The executives rolled their eyes. The engineers smirked. But 10 minutes later, the single dad noticed one tiny scratch that nobody else had bothered to examine, and what he discovered would change countless lives forever. Before we begin this emotional journey, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Wisdom Story House if you believe kindness, second chances, and perseverance can create miracles when hope seems lost. The single father's name was Callum Reed. At 39 years old, life had given him far more challenges than opportunities. 5 years earlier, he had lost his wife during a sudden illness that shocked everyone who knew her. One day she was healthy, smiling, and planning family vacations. The next, she was fighting a battle nobody expected. When she passed away, Callum's world collapsed. Left behind was their daughter, 9-year-old Talia. From that moment forward, every decision he made centered around her. He worked long shifts at a regional airport as a maintenance technician. The pay wasn't impressive, but it covered basic necessities. Some months were easier than others. Most weren't. Bills arrived faster than paychecks. Repairs seemed endless. Unexpected expenses appeared constantly. Yet despite everything, Callum never complained. Every morning he packed Talia's lunch. Every evening he helped with homework. Every night he promised himself he would keep moving forward. Talia became his reason to continue. Her smile reminded him why giving up wasn't an option. The billionaire standing beside the private jet was Celine Whitmore. At 43 years old, she controlled a global logistics empire worth billions. People admired her intelligence. Many feared her determination. She had built her company from almost nothing after growing up in poverty. Success came through relentless work and extraordinary sacrifice. But wealth couldn't protect her from pressure. That particular afternoon represented one of the most important days in her company's history. A critical international agreement depended on her reaching another country before midnight. Failure would cost enormous amounts of money. Thousands of employees could be affected. Years of effort could unravel. Every minute mattered. Unfortunately, the jet refused to leave the ground. The aircraft's diagnostic systems indicated an unusual warning. Not severe enough to identify. Not simple enough to ignore. Multiple specialists examined the issue. Nobody found an answer. Hours disappeared. Tension grew. Executives panicked. The sun continued its slow journey across the daytime sky. That was when Callum arrived. His shift normally involved routine inspections. He wasn't part of the executive team. He wasn't one of the aviation experts. He simply happened to be nearby. Yet as he listened to discussions surrounding the aircraft, something felt unusual. The explanations didn't match the symptoms. Years of experience taught him to trust instinct. Sometimes machines revealed clues others overlooked. While everyone focused on complicated systems, Callum quietly began observing smaller details. His attention eventually settled on a tiny scratch near an access panel beneath the aircraft. Most people would never notice it. The mark seemed insignificant. Barely visible. Completely ordinary. Yet something about it bothered him. The scratch appeared fresh. Recent. Out of place. He crouched closer. Examined the area carefully. Then his heart skipped a beat. The scratch wasn't random. It indicated that someone had recently opened the panel improperly. The discovery led him deeper. Inside, he found evidence of a maintenance error made weeks earlier. A small sensor connector had been installed incorrectly. Not broken. Not defective. Simply positioned in a way that created intermittent warning signals. The issue was tiny. Almost invisible. Yet serious enough to prevent safe departure. Most importantly, it explained everything. Callum immediately reported his findings. At first nobody believed him. After all, highly paid experts had already inspected the aircraft. How could a maintenance technician discover something they missed? But verification quickly proved him correct. The connector was repaired. Systems reset. Diagnostics cleared. The warning disappeared. For the first time all day, the jet was ready. A wave of relief swept across the tarmac. Applause erupted. Engineers stared in disbelief. Executives exchanged stunned glances. Celine remained silent. Not because she was upset. Because she was amazed. The simplest clue had solved the most expensive problem. Yet the story didn't end there. As preparations for departure continued, Callum noticed something else inside the maintenance compartment. A small envelope wedged behind structural components. The envelope looked old. Forgotten. Accidentally hidden. Curiosity led him to retrieve it. The contents surprised him. Inside were photographs, handwritten notes, and a letter dated nearly 20 years earlier. The materials belonged to a former aircraft engineer named Vincent Hale. Few people remembered his name. But older airport employees recognized it immediately. Vincent had once been considered one of the most talented engineers in the industry. Then tragedy struck. An accident ended his career. Financial hardship followed. Eventually he disappeared from public life. The letter revealed something remarkable. Vincent had secretly developed several innovative safety concepts years before they became industry standards. Unfortunately, he never received recognition. His ideas were forgotten. Or so everyone believed. As Callum continued reading, another shocking detail emerged. Several of Vincent's innovations had later contributed to systems used by Celine Whitmore's company. Not through theft. Not intentionally. But because his original work influenced engineers who built upon his concepts. Vincent never benefited financially. Never received credit. Never saw the impact of his contributions. The discovery affected Callum deeply. Perhaps because he understood what it felt like to struggle without recognition. To work hard while life remained difficult. Instead of ignoring the documents, he shared them with Celine. Most people expected her to dismiss the information. After all, she was preparing for an urgent international trip. Instead, she spent nearly an hour reviewing every page. The more she read, the more emotional she became. The documents revealed a forgotten story of sacrifice, innovation, and resilience. They reminded her of her own journey. Years earlier, she too had been overlooked. Undervalued. Dismissed. Success eventually changed her circumstances. But it never erased those memories. The jet departed successfully before sunset. The international agreement was secured. The company achieved one of its most important victories. Yet something unexpected happened afterward. Celine couldn't stop thinking about Vincent Hale. Or Callum Reid. One man had been forgotten. The other had been overlooked. Both deserved better. During the following weeks, Celine launched an extensive search for Vincent's surviving family. Eventually she located his son and granddaughter living modestly several states away. Neither knew much about Vincent's professional legacy. The emotional reunion that followed attracted national attention. Historical records were reviewed. Industry leaders became involved. Vincent finally received long overdue recognition for his contributions. Awards were presented posthumously. Scholarships were created in his name. His story inspired thousands. Meanwhile, Celine kept another promise. She never forgot Callum. Not because he fixed the jet, but because he cared enough to notice what everyone else ignored. A month later, she invited him to company headquarters. Callum expected a simple thank you meeting. Instead, he received something extraordinary. Celine offered him a leadership position overseeing maintenance operations throughout her aviation division. The salary exceeded anything he imagined. The benefits guaranteed financial security. Most importantly, the opportunity allowed him to build a better future for Talia. The news overwhelmed him. For years he worked tirelessly without expecting rewards. Now life finally offered hope. Real hope. The kind that changes everything. Months passed. Callum thrived in his new role. His practical experience improved safety procedures across multiple facilities. Employees respected him because he understood their challenges. Unlike many executives, he never forgot where he came from. At home, life improved dramatically. Talia attended better schools. Financial stress disappeared. They moved into a comfortable home filled with sunlight and laughter. Yet the greatest change wasn't material. It was emotional. For the first time since losing his wife, Callum felt optimism about the future. The weight he carried for years finally became lighter. One bright afternoon nearly a year later, a dedication ceremony honored Vincent Hale's legacy. Industry leaders attended. Families gathered. Employees celebrated. The event took place under clear blue skies beside an aircraft bearing a plaque commemorating Vincent's contributions. As Callum watched Vincent's granddaughter accept the recognition her grandfather never received, tears filled his eyes. Not tears of sadness. Tears of gratitude. Because one tiny scratch had revealed something much bigger than a maintenance problem. It revealed a forgotten story. A hidden legacy. A chance to make things right. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Wisdom Story House. Your support helps these inspiring stories reach people who need hope, encouragement, and reminders that kindness still exists in the world. Red Heart special request, comment below, small details can change big destinies. As the afternoon sun slowly drifted toward the horizon, Callum looked at the sky where countless aircraft traveled toward distant destinations. Most passengers would never know the stories hidden behind those flights. The sacrifices. The struggles. The ordinary people whose actions made extraordinary outcomes possible. Because sometimes life changes not through grand miracles or dramatic moments. Sometimes it changes because someone notices what everyone else ignores. A tiny scratch. A forgotten letter. A hidden story. And sometimes the smallest discovery becomes the beginning of the greatest blessing. In the end, the billionaire kept her promise. She helped make a single father rich. But the true treasure wasn't money. It was dignity. Purpose. Recognition. And the reminder that no act of honesty, kindness, or careful attention is ever truly wasted. Because somewhere, hidden inside life's smallest details, a miracle may be waiting to be found.